Hi everyone. My name is Ravi Narayan. So I am here to discuss or demonstrate about the context API in React, how it solves the prop drilling. So basically, the first comes the question arises is like, what is prop drilling? So basically, the prop drilling means like passing the data from a top layer component to top layer component to the nested components. Okay, so let's understand it in a better way in the through the drawing. Okay, so let sharing going to my screen. Okay, hope my screen is visible. Okay, guys. Yeah. So let's say this is our parent component. Okay, and inside parent component there is one more component is child component. Inside our child component there is another component is our grandchild. Okay, so let's say there is a data inside our like parent component. Okay, so let's say this is our data. Okay, but the data is used inside our okay, this data is used by uh, greet something. Okay, like hello and like name, and the name is comes from the parent. Okay, so or the name is present on the parent. So the although the name is present on the parent, the grandchild component directly does not access the data. So how it comes to the uh, then grandchild, then in the prop drilling, then the pass the data from parent to pass to its okay. So the data is passed parent to its child. Okay, and then child to pass the data from grandchild. Okay, and then the grandchild is able to access the data name. Okay, so in that manner the prop dealing is going to happen. Like in the big applications, like there is a e-commerce application, or there are something like uh, any kind of application you can think a thing like that. But in that case, there is too much components are there in nested way, so it is difficult to manage all the data to pass through the prop dealing. Okay, so let's go into the coding and understand it in a better way. So I am set up a stack based stack based React application. Okay, so let's create some functions. Okay, function not function. This is our components. We can say it as okay, and the parent have some name as a prop, and it return to it child. Okay, and the child have the name. Okay, name and function child. The child have getting the name prop, and it returning to the grandchild. Okay, and then the grandchild is access the name. Like function grandchild have some name, and then like return some h1. Okay, hello name. Okay, and we are calling the parent inside our application and pass the name. Okay, yeah, we can see this. See this in our screen. There is hello Rabi. Okay, so this is the prop dealing. Basically pass the data from multiple layers to the nested. Okay, but this is so much like unmanageable or not clean way to show our data code base. Okay, so to solve this problem, the React is included context API. Okay, so let's go to the screen and in a Calidro and understand the context API. Okay, like let's say uh, this is our whole application. Okay, and the context API, this is our this is our context API, let's say. Okay, and this is our application. Okay, inside our application there are some parent components. Okay, and there are some like child components. Okay, and also there are some grandchild components. Okay, so the data is present inside our in our okay, the data is now present in our context. So in that case, our grandchild is directly able to access the data. Okay, does not need to pass through the layers or through the multiple components. Okay, so this is this makes how easy our code. Okay, so we have not passed the manually data to multi-level components, and then we have to access the data in our nested component. Okay, so let's go to the coding part and understand. Let refactor the code. Okay, yeah, and one thing that is the context API is CPC. Okay, so don't forget that. That is uh, CPC. Okay, the fast C stands for like okay, just 1 second. Yeah, first one is CPC. The CPC stands for create. Okay, and then P stands for provide. Okay, and then again C for consume. Okay, like create, provide, and then consume. Okay, so let's go to the screen and understand. Okay, so in the like in the big applications, they have created some folder structures like that. Okay, in the SRC, you have to create some folder like context. Okay, that inside our context, so there is a file name as user context or JSX. Okay, so inside our user context, so basically how to use it first in the CPC. First one is create. Okay, so let's create something like export const user context. Okay, create context. The create context comes from the React itself. Okay, why it is not inputting? Okay, I'm inputting manually, no issue. It's from React, that is create context. Okay, so we have to then now we have create the context. Okay, and then we have to what the context is stored. Okay, so the const like user provider. Okay, and then will be have some says children component. Uh, okay, so maybe someone have some difficulty though what is the children property here. So let's first understand that. Later we have to create some uh, component that is let's say box. Okay, so they have some uh, children property, and let's say inside that we have to create a box like structure. Okay, then like a return something like div. Okay, inside the div the child component is going to be loaded, children component. Okay, and then we have to style some property is like border shadow md like busy red 500. Okay, and then we have to call the box here. Inside the box we are passing some p tag like hello. Yeah, look, so there is a box like structure is created inside the box. Our child component key is to be mounted. Okay, like text center don't need to be understand, that is I'm using the tailwind css. I'm set up it before, so it is easy to manage the things. So here, okay, so this is our child. Okay, so we have to pass the multiple childs like that. Okay, so okay, this is our child. Okay, so there is a proper inbuilt property child is to be mounted. Okay, so now I am using the same here. Okay, the child. Okay, inside our context. Okay, so the like uh export function like user provider, and then it will be getting some children. Okay, and it will be written something like user context dot provider. Okay, and then uh, let pass the same name something. So for that we are using the use state name set set name. Okay, use state like the default name is Rabi, and we have to pass the value here. Okay, in the value property we have to pass the value is like name. Okay, and then return the children here, children. Okay, so this is basically set up our context. So now we have to create some components to it. Like there is like component folder, components. Okay, so inside the component, so we have the first grandchild.jsx. So now same write the core export uh, default grandchild. Then now, so yeah, before going to that, okay, I'm creating the context. Okay, so before going to consume inside the grandchild, I'm able to forgetting something, that is provide. Okay, then how to provide the context to our application? Okay, so we can wrap the provider to a single component or to our whole component. Okay, so I am provide the context to our whole app, because inside our app all the components to be loaded. Okay, so that is user provider. Okay, okay, I am passing our context to our whole application. Now I am able to use our uh, context inside the grandchild. Okay, so let first destructure the properties that what we pass, that is name, and then from which. So how to use, basically there is a hook name as use context. Okay, it is also coming from the React. So here pass then here we can pass the basically our context name. So our context name is what? user context, then it comes from the context slash content. Okay, so basically, yeah, okay, this is our the context name. Okay, so I'm passing the here and I'm destructuring the name, that passing as a value. Okay, and then it will be returning something like return, and like, okay, h1. Okay, type it manually, no issue. Hello, then passing the name here. And then we have to create some more components, is like child component, child.jsx. Then it will be export default child. Then what the child component is returned, that is return the grandchild. The grandchild is not visible. No. Okay, just a second. Yeah, grandchild. Okay. Now I'm creating some more component, that is parent.jsx. Okay, inside my parent I'm export default function parent, and the parent is return the child. Okay, child. Okay. so inside our app we are calling to our parent. Okay, okay, might be some issue. They are saying that the semicolon is missing, the child of one, one second. There is oh yeah, actually I'm typing to not typing here any function actually. Yeah, okay. So here the name is not visible. Uh, I think we make some mistake. Mm, use context. User context. Let's see. We are providing the value name. Then to yes, once again I am wrapping the parent component to our like a user provider. Let's think the hellos and the actually not debug it. Is in the console. Yes. Yeah. So actually, I'm making a little mistake here. Basically, I'm not able to send them as a object, so that's why I'm not destructuring that. So now this will be uh, name as visible. So let we give some style to visible. It's like class. Okay, it's like busy red 500. And, okay, and then yeah, this is our. If we can pass it like font bold. Now this is visible. Okay, so this is our context API. So inside our grant we are not passing the data nestedly from parent to child, child to grandchild. I'm directly access the data inside our grandchild component. Okay, so we can do multiple things like that. So I'm that we have to try something like we have to pass one more uh, like the set function here also. Okay, so it's like uh, yeah, set name. Okay, and then going to the child component, we are using a function wrap name. Just lost a second something. Yeah, just um, fragment inside the fragment. We have to basically create a basically create a input form. So where the where we can using the set name to set the data. So we have passing the set name. So we have to destructure set name. Okay, and then we have some input field like input. Okay, and then the value of the input is going to be name. Okay, and then have a on change like on change is getting some event. Set that event that is set name e dot target dot value. Okay, so let's give some style for that. um, Nothing more, just is simple for looking visible, like border and like padding this, adding 3. Yeah. Okay, we can give it some like a margin top 5. Okay, now. Okay, so if I'm using here, then like Rabi to Masai, then it will be able to modify. If I'm something like React, okay, or anything, okay, then this will be okay. So now, how it is be easy for us to manage all the things in a one file and use it all in our components in nested component. This is the context API help in that such a manner that we are not using to not going to pass the data manually using the prop dealing. We are passing the data. We are store or keep the data in our global state management like context API, and use them in a very better and in a professional way. So this context API make our code base clean and make it more improvement and also scalable to handle our application. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you.